I thought they'd go 9-7 with Nick Foles. Now with Gardner Minshew, I mean, they're probably going to miss the playoffs now unless they can pull a couple games, out their ass or whatever. I'm not sure they're capable of doing that. And I didn't even realize on the Tyreek Hill situation that was you saw that's a broken clavicle, so he's gone for 4 weeks as well.
Yeah, they haven't put a for sure timeline on it, but they did say that there is no surgery needed. So usually when a collarbone
Yeah.
is quote in a fractured state, my wife said, you basically just have to sit around in a sling for about 2 weeks in it, and like it heals itself. So
Okay.
there's no surgery involved. Like it's just a matter of like when can you tolerate the pain to come back and play. Uh, but with
Eh,
that being said, the Chiefs are not hurting at the wide receiver
No.
position. Sammy, like you said, Sammy Watkins had a great game, and they still got Shady McCoy. He is in the backfield looking like old Shady McCoy.
Yeah, and
The rookie, right?
Damian Williams gave you fantasy points, man.
Yeah,
So they still have him number 26, man. He looks pretty good too.
yeah. I'm not worried about the Chiefs' injury whatsoever. I am worried about Nick Foles' injury, simply because of what you alluded to is the veteran leadership on that team. Like I've said, Nick Foles will be average quarterback for the Jacksonville Jaguars because he's a below average quarterback when he's not in a Philadelphia Eagles uniform. But just the addition confidence of bringing a Super Bowl winning quarterback to your team has to really bump up the confidence of the defense, of the wide receivers, everybody around you. So
Yes.
it is definitely a bigger loss for the Jacksonville Jaguars, hands down. Even though I still don't think they're going to be very good with Nick Foles in or out of the lineup whatsoever.
Right.
There were a bunch of games happening, obviously, on Sunday. The Browns, highly anticipated Browns. Browns are going to go to the Super Bowl. They're going to go 16-0. Yada yada yada. They get routed. I'm talking demolished, 43-13 by the Tennessee Titans. Tennessee Titans is no slouch of a team. I think we both kind of said there'll be 8-8, 7-9 type of season. Pretty solid team. But to go into Cleveland week one and beat the Browns like they did, were the Browns highly overrated, highly hyped, I should say?
I mean, it looks that way, after week one. It's easy to say that the Browns' offensive line was terrible, and then they lost another offensive tackle, I think, with injury, I think, or he got ejected or something
Yeah,
ridiculous.
he kicked somebody in the face or
Yeah,
something.
yeah. I mean, he's just a complete idiot. I mean, I don't know what you're doing there. But Baker Mayfield is amazing in terms of like his character. I don't like his character one bit. He and Colin Cowherd have been going back and forth the last year about different stuff, and I'm more on the side of Colin. I'll be honest with you. When he pulled all his shenanigans at Oklahoma, I just I'm sorry to sound like Colin because I don't think Colin's correct all the time, but I don't want my starting quarterback in the NFL running from the cops. That's just
Right.
probably something we don't want to do. Probably check that off the list of not, and then the stuff he pulled with Kansas and just talking.
First
I
of
mean, he's
all,
just like,
that was the greatest YouTube video I've ever seen of like him flipping the bird to Kansas. Like, because Kansas is the worst team in the Big 12. Like, they haven't won
yeah,
a Big 12 conference game in like 6 years. And for Kansas to get underneath your skin just like that just cracks me up a little bit. But sorry to
yeah. I
interrupt.
mean, no, that's okay. But I mean, just his character, and he's over there. Look, he's commenting like on other. He wouldn't last 5 seconds in the hood, man. He would get killed. I'm not joking. He's over there commenting about a month ago on Daniel Jones going number one.
Right.
Now, it's okay for us to comment on it, but like he's supposed. Listen, if you're the quarterback in the National Football League, you're supposed to be the CEO of the organization,
Right.
so to speak. You and the coach. Why would you comment? Listen, if we were in the hood, it's like this. Why are you commenting on another man? We'd go knock on your door. What's up? Come outside. We're going to handle this right now.
Right.
This is what would happen. No, he just wants to comment about other players on other teams if they're overrated. Hey, dude, don't be the Jalen Ramsey of quarterbacks, dude. Shut the fuck up and play football.
I was getting ready to
You,
say
you,
that.
it's like
Jalen Ramsey
you,
did the
you,
same
you have
thing.
a lot. You have a lot going on, man. You have a lot going on. Don't worry about other men's what they're doing and their salary and who took who. That's not your job, dude. I'd bring him in my office today. Hey, worry about defenses. Don't worry about Daniel Jones and Mitchell Jones and Jeremy Jones and all that. Don't get that shit out your head. We're here to play football.
Right.
Don't comment on another man's paycheck or he should have went first and all that. Stop that crap now, or we'll release your ass. We'll find another quarterback. I'm not playing. I would be so upset at laying an egg to Tennessee like that. I'd let them have it. Now, we do have to, but you can't, because you have to treat these kids like kid gloves, or he might be running from the cops again.
Right.
You have to treat him with kid gloves. So on the flip side of that, you just saw the real Marcus. Now we're gonna go to the calm Marcus, the one that I can't do that. I just thought out loud for a second.
Right.
That's fine. I'd call him in and say, "Hey, sweetie, Buttercup, we're gonna fix the offensive line for you. Don't worry, it's just game one." So I guess that's maybe how you'd have to treat it. But listen, in his defense, in his tiny little defense, he was getting battered. Now
Right.
he knows what, and you know what that tells me? That tells me, man, how great is Deshaun Watson?
Right.
Because Deshaun Watson last year had a worse offensive line than this Cleveland line, and was still able to get his team to 11-5. Dude, that dude was getting contacted every play, and every time Baker went back to pass with that offensive line, he was getting destroyed.
Yeah, you're 100% correct. He was getting hit over and over and
Yeah,
over again. But also to his credit, he still went for 285 yards and a touchdown. But you
yeah,
have to throw in that key stat there, 3 interceptions. That's what really hurt the momentum of the Browns, is it's those 3 big interceptions. However,
yeah, yeah.
my biggest question mark on this team was all offseason. I heard Browns are a top 5 defense. The Browns are a top 10 defense. You give up 43 points to the Tennessee Titans, and you're a top 10 defense. Get out of here. There is no way the Browns are going to win a Super Bowl or make it to the playoffs or win their division with a defense like this. Their defense needs to be addressed right now. My
Yeah.
question that I got to ask, though, is this a coaching or is just the will to play defense? Was there so much hype around the Browns that their defense thought they could just show up and everybody's going to lay down for them?
I don't think so. I mean, I saw more of offensive line issues in the game than defense. I think the game was kind of just got out of hand. It's just one of those ones. It happened. It'll happen in the NFL from time to time. Game just got out of hand. But I saw it more as a problem as the offensive line. I think the defense will be okay. Um, in regards to the rest of the season. But yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens though. But I would just be, I was just a little upset at Baker there, just for,
Are we overreacting? Are the
just for.
Browns still good?
Yes, absolutely. They have the talent. That's why everybody's hyping them. That's why I even had them winning the division at 11-5.
Well,
Um,
everybody has
so
talent. They're in the NFL, but can the head coach Freddie Kitchens put all that talent together and actually make something? Is the real question.
I think there. I mean, listen, it's overreaction week one. We'll see what happens. They've got a big Monday night game versus the Jets,
Yeah,
and that is huge because you got the Jets and Cleveland coming off of losses.
Jets
And
look
boy,
pretty good too.
yeah, nah, that Jet loss. Oh my God, there are some losses today where you gotta go. Like if I'm a Jets fan, I'd be ready to jump off a cliff somewhere.
Right.
Like
So
you can't lose like that to Buffalo. You're up 16-0, and they just lost like that.
yeah, speaking of the Jets, they did play the Bills in Week 1, giving up a 16-point lead to lose 17-16. You can say the bright highlight of the Jets was the signing of Le'Veon Bell, 60 yards, 12 yards was his longest carry. Are the
Yeah, I
Jets
mean,
going to
but
win
he
any
he
games this year?
no, that's the problem. That's why I mean I said jump off a cliff, but that's the problem. Jets have lots of talent. They had no business letting Buffalo Bills up 16-0. The field goal kicker blew it for them.
Right.
There's no way that they should have lost that game. No way. I mean, they're up 16-0. They're high. The defense is pretty good. They let Buffalo methodically come back and win that game. And yeah, they have to get rid of that field goal kicker today. Oh, you think I'm mad right now? Like, hey, that field goal kicker wouldn't make the plane, man.
Right.
You wouldn't make the plane.
Yeah, speaking of
No.
field goal kickers, Adam Vinatieri for the Colts missed 2 field goals and a extra point in a losing effort versus the Chargers in a 30-24 overtime. If Adam Vinatieri makes one three of those kicks, the Colts pull out the
They
win.
do.
Are the Colts still a great team without Andrew Luck?
No, they're a good team. They have a great off. The great thing about them is they have a great offensive line.
Right.
They have a decent secondary. They're okay up front. Their front seven's not great. It's okay, but their offensive line is gonna. Their offensive line, and if Jacoby Brissett doesn't make mistakes,
Hmm.
will keep them in every game this year. So I still think it's possibly they can still go at 8-8 and 9-7, but that's about it.
Yeah. This team really.
With Andrew Luck, they could have gone 11.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this team really reminds me of the Baltimore Ravens the year they won the Super Bowl. Was it like 2001 or 2002 with like Ed Reed and Ray Lewis and the
Yeah.
like the boys. Trent Dilfer was not a Super Bowl winning or a Super Bowl caliber quarterback, but the team carried him, and that's what the
Right.
Colts are going to have to do for Brissett. One of the brightest things about the Colts offense is Mac. He had 180 yards for a couple scores, if I'm not mistaken. Sorry, one
Oh,
touchdown. Mac looked like a wrecking
Marlon
ball
Mack.
out there.
No,
So all you fantasy owners
Marlon
that have
Mack.
Mac, yeah, you guys are great pickup there. Great pickup.
Yeah, and then Marlon Mack's running behind maybe the second best offensive line in football, so
Right.
that helps. But Marlon Mack is a good talent.
Yeah, and
He's one of those that if you trade Zeke to the Colts, you give back Marlon Mack in a second round pick, and you're okay.
right. Uh, I couldn't agree more with that.
Yeah,
Speaking of being
yeah.
okay, are the Chargers going to be okay? I mean, it kind of seems like they snuck out of this game here with the skin of their nose, playing a average Colts team. Like as you say, many people have the Chargers going to the Super Bowl. Are they still a Super Bowl caliber team after week one?
Yes, absolutely. I don't see any issues there. Philip Rivers threw that interception in the end zone to Hooker, but I mean that was
That
a
was an
bad
amazing
play.
catch. Amazing catch though.
Yes, yeah, the one-handed catch. I mean, they could have easily just kicked the field goal, but he threw the pick. You can't give away points there. Philip knows better than that. But no, the Chargers are still going to be right there. They're not better than the Chiefs, but they're going to be right there. I have them in the wild card still.
Yeah. Speaking of Super Bowl caliber team, the Dallas Cowboys did handle the Giants pretty soundly, 35-17. Dak Prescott throws for 405 yards, 4 touchdowns with the perfect QBR rating on the night. Are the Cowboys really this good, or as we a Cowboys fan, are we just kind of hyping them up too much?
It's a combination of both. The Giants are that bad, and the Cowboys are this good, and so you had that. It was it was disastrous. I mean, the Giants did a nice scheme thing. You script your first 10, 15 plays, and it was a scheme thing, and they out schemed the Cowboys on that opening drive, made it 7-0. But after that, the cream rose to the top the rest
Right.
of the game, and Dallas Cowboys woke up and listen, the Cowboys are loaded. This is their most talented team since the 90s. This is actually a more talented team than Tony Romo had in 07, 2007. This is the most talented team I've seen since I was in my 20s, man, early 20s. This is the real deal. There is no weakness here on the Cowboys. The weakness might be the head coach. That's the only weakness that I see in going in big games. And Dak, as great as he was, he threw behind a couple of players a little bit. But I mean, listen, you're not going to be perfect. Philip Rivers throws a beautiful ball, and Mahomes might throw behind. You know what I mean? You're not
Right.
going to be perfect. And there was a one play where he let Amari Cooper, or if he'd have led the throw a little bit more on Amari Cooper might have scored like an 80-yard touchdown
Yes.
instead of a 55-yard catch. So Dak still has a little bit of deficiencies, but he was really, really good.
Yeah.
And boy, Michael Gallup. I mean, the improvement on this team, Michael Gallup and Randall Cobb. I mean, you saw it, Michael. Like, this is talent. They're as talented as hell. Like,
Yes.
this is the real deal. If they do ball control and then limit. Let me give you a little stat. The Dallas defense has played the least amount of snaps since Ezekiel Elliott and Dak Prescott started than any team in the NFL in the last 3 years.
That's a great
If that
stat.
trend continues, they'll be in the Super Bowl in one of these years.
Yeah. One of these years, hopefully being this year for
Right.
fans' sake here. But you are 100% correct. Their weakest point is probably the head coach, but the head coach has surrounded talent and coaching staff
Yeah.
around him to elevate his play
Right.
as well. So the weakest spot might be the head coach, but you still have to get through 4 or 5 great assistant
Right.
coaches to get to the head coach, as I should say. Not only do the Cowboys have talent, they're having fun doing it too. If you watch toward the end of that game when Dak Prescott and the boys are joking around like in the huddle,
Right.
smiling. You can tell they enjoy each other. They love playing the game. And when a team is having fun, a team really can't mess up all that much. Great things are going to happen. I mean,
Right.
the 13-3 that I had the Cowboys going, it's a very good possibility after watching this week 1 game.
Right. There's one Dallas Cowboy though that I think right now is upset. He's the only guy that I would probably, if I walked into the Dallas Cowboys office today, I'd find Stephen Jones. They'd be having party hats,
Right.
But Rod Marinelli's door is probably closed right now, and he's probably the only one that's upset. His defense gave up 500 yards.
Right.
Let's just keep it real here. Now they did it. They did what they did is they bend but don't break. They let them get a lot of yards in between the 20s. Okay, and they bogged down. So Rod Marinelli's defense has done that in the past, even in the 2016 13-3 season. It's all about giving up points. If you give up 500 yards and 17 points, you're usually going to win.
Right. You're 100%
right. So, but that being said, it's still 500 yards. So right now, Rod Marinelli, he has something to work with there. Coaches love that, Michael. When everybody's singing your praise, everybody looks good, but you still have stuff to work on. Right now, as soon as they get out at practice on Wednesday, he will let them know that they gave up over 500 yards, and not to be, crowning us defensive players of the years yet or anything like that. Right now, I saw no Pro Bowls out of the Cowboys. It was a bend but don't break, gave up 500 yards. It was really more about the Cowboys offense on Sunday.
Right, which they looked great.
Yes.
Speaking of giving up 500 yards, the Philadelphia Eagles defense gave up 500 yards to the Washington Redskins as well. This is a perfect game of a tale of two halves. The first half, the Washington Redskins could not do anything wrong. I believe they're up 27-7 or something to that effect. It was a very lopsided game. And I'm thinking, man, are the Redskins really this good, or the Eagles just that bad? And just like that, second half hit, Eagles turned on the gas, pulling out a 32-27 win. Are the Eagles still as good as we think they are?
Absolutely, yes. And I would be horrified if I was a Washington Redskins fan. This has been a terrible dumpster fire organization since Daniel Snyder has took over. And it just continues on Sunday. I'd be more upset. I'd be just as upset at the Washington Redskins as I would be the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Washington Redskins put up a fight for at least a half. The Pittsburgh Steelers put up a fight in warm-ups.
Right.
But I still would be upset. I still would be upset at the Washington Redskins though, because it was almost like if Ohio State was playing the University of Minnesota,
mm-hmm.
and Minnesota was like they were all amped up and they got up 14-0 on Ohio State, and at the halftime shows, you're like, oh man, Minnesota's got a shot. And then it was like Ohio State, and then being the Philadelphia Eagles looked at each other and went, okay, you guys ready to play, man?
Right.
These little Montana Tech sisters of the poor team were playing. They're beating us. What are we doing? And then they made the Washington Redskins look like Florida Atlantic.
Yeah.
It was like 300 some plus yards total offense in the second half to 40.
Yes.
So I would be really disappointed if I'm a Redskin fan that somebody could just we have all the momentum in the first half and somebody could just step on our throat right from the get-go and act like we're like Florida International.
Yeah,
that would bother me.
Yeah, the one thing that I would be worried about if I'm a Washington Redskins fan, why in the hell are you not playing Adrian Peterson in that game? He is fully healthy, and you put him in street clothes on the sideline just because you want a rookie to get some reps? Shut up. You had Adrian freaking Peterson. Give that man the rock 35 times a game. Keep that Philadelphia Eagles offense off the field, and you guys might win this damn game. Let's be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't realize he was inactive. I guess, they put him as inactive. I don't know. Is he hurt?
No, he was a quote healthy scratch because they wanted to get that rookie tailback some carries, some game experience. So this tells me that the Washington Redskins are folding up shop. They don't want to win this year.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the hell happened there. But I mean, it just looked like, the cream rose to the top easily, and they were like the University of Minnesota playing on Ohio State in the second half, and It was just like they weren't even there. I mean, you could have lined up, man. You literally could have lined up Texas Tech on defense out there for Philly, and it would look the same.
Yeah, I mean,
It was bad.
yeah, it is crazy. And speaking of bad, Miami Dolphins bad. They get
Oh
routed
my.
by Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens, 59-10. Lamar Jackson does throw for 324 yards with 17 of 20 attempts
Oh my God.
5 touchdowns. Um, I have been on blast since I've said Lamar Jackson is trash. I still think he is trash. Okay,
Okay.
one game is not going to change my mind. I said it in the other show. Lamar Jackson is going to have 3 or 4 games where he goes like this, five scores. Has a great game. Look who the freak he was playing. Miami Dolphins. They are horrible. 2-14 team. Show me
Yeah.
this 6 more times, I might change my opinion on
Right.
Lamar Jackson. My question to you, Mark, is Lamar Jackson an elite quarterback, a top tier quarterback in your eyes after this one game?
Absolutely not. Um, like you said, we've got to see this for more games. I watched his first few possessions in preseason. Um, they're the top high school quarterbacks right now could out accurate him. No problem. He had a big day against the Miami Dolphins, and oh my God, I man, I don't know. I hate to overreact, but golly,
They're
you might want to
horrible.
forfeit.
They are
You might
horrible.
want to forfeit this season, baby. I mean, for real. Let's just why even go out there? Um, Listen, I understand that the top college players still couldn't compete at an NFL level, and I get all that. A long time ago, Michael, even before you were born, and when I was a kid, you know that they used to have the college all stars play an NFL team for exhibition.
Really, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they of course they would never do that today, right? I mean, that
Right,
would be just ridiculous, right? But I would be willing to bet you, ready?
ready.
The Alabama defense, if they played the Ravens offense, would not give up 59 in a game.
Hmm.
I would be willing to bet you that the LSU defense wouldn't they wouldn't give up 59 to Lamar. If you had to give him like a couple of weeks to prepare, all off season to prepare,
Right.
give Nick Saban all off season to prepare, and I bet Alabama would hang with Baltimore better than Miami would have
Yeah.
defensive wise.
Right.
I mean, that was absolutely trash.
On
I
the
mean,
Miami defense side.
the product that you put on the field, and you expected people to pay $300 for some seats, if it's $70 for nosebleeds, and they should have got their money back, man.
Right.
Like that's horrific, dude. Like 59, like to Lamar Jackson 59.
Right.
We're in trouble. I mean, this is crazy, dude. This is insane. That's one of the most insane things I saw this past week. I mean, I don't even know what to say on it. Listen, Lamar Jackson's a good talent. I think he's an average quarterback. I think he's got to have everything right around him. And boy, did they make a great first round pick in that kid Brown from Oklahoma. He's a hell of a talent, faster than
Hmm.
probably the fastest guy on the field. But that is pathetic. No, Lamar Jackson, they'll come back down to earth. I don't know who they have next week. I'll look it up right now, but I will guarantee you, they're not doing this. I mean, this is kind of like one of those aberration games. This will not keep paid. This will not happen. So I think, like you said, I'm with you. We're about 4 or 5 games where he looks like, oh my God, and there's going to be about 10 where he looks average.
Right.
They got Arizona next week at home. That's gonna be that's decent. I expect Lamar Jackson to still win the game. He will not. This Arizona, as bad as they were, they're not Miami. So they'll stop. Lamar Jackson will come back a little bit to the pack here. It'll be a good game. But yeah, this is. And then after that, he's got Kansas City, he's got Cleveland and Pittsburgh. Yeah, he's gonna take his lumps pretty soon.
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson.
Yeah. So as of right now, my verdict on Lamar Jackson hasn't changed. Show me a little bit. Give me at least a half a season of this elite status quarterback, air quotes there. So we go from 59 points to 98 yards total in a 28-12 win. Vikings beat the Atlanta Falcons. Kirk Cousins goes 8 for 10 passing for 98 yards. We thought the Vikings were going to be pretty good. Are they still going to be pretty
Yes.
good, even though they can't pass the ball apparently?
No. They just kind of they whipped their ass in the first half, and then they didn't put the foot on throat. They kind of took the pedal off the gas. Mike Zimmer did. And Atlanta started playing a little harder, but Minnesota's pretty damn good. But yeah, Thielen and Stephon Diggs and Kyle Rudolph. That's why I took Kirk Cousins in fantasy. I'm not in love with Kirk Cousins, but I know he's going to give me points. he had a couple of touchdowns yesterday. He ran one in and threw one, and he didn't even need to because that Viking defense just put the clamps on Matt Ryan's ass. And the numbers get a little inflated. I think it has Matt Ryan at 300. Oh, he threw for 300 yards, but
Yeah,
it
those are all
really
late.
wasn't that, man.
Yeah.
It really wasn't that. They confused Atlanta from the get go. So yeah, no, I don't know how good Atlanta's going to be. I don't think they're going to be in the playoffs, but Minnesota's the real deal. This was just a little exhibition for them. They played pretty well, and that kid Dan Hunter from number 99 from Minnesota. They have some good players, man,
Yeah.
and then Xavier Rhodes from Florida State. I mean, Minnesota's going to be there in the end. I got them in the playoffs.
Yeah, you're 100% correct. Uh, the only thing that really hurts about this game is you do have Kirk Cousins as your quarterback in the fantasy league,
Yeah.
and when a quarterback only throws for 98 yards on 10 attempts, it's kind of rough to win some games. But obviously the Vikings
Oh, yeah.
are doing well, and I anticipate them still being a 10 win team, hands down. Speaking
Yeah.
of 10-win teams, the LA Rams did beat the Carolina Panthers 30-27. Cam Newton, maybe his arm is back. Maybe he is healthy. He goes for 25 for 38 for 239 yards with one interception. My question to you: are the Carolina Panthers still going to be pretty terrible, or do you think Cam Newton can will this team to an 8-win season?
No, I maybe 8 wins at best. I mean, they're getting the ball to Christian McCaffrey as you should. He's the best dual threat besides Kamara and Duke Johnson. They're right there. All of them are right there. But no, Cam Newton is funny, man. Did you see some of his wind up throws, man? Yeah, he's having trouble with his arm, dude.
Yeah.
This isn't. He looks like it looks like you called a 7-year-old kid out of the audience, out of the stadiums, and they said, "Hey, little Johnny, throw it your farthest." And Cam looks like he has to wind up and try
Yeah.
to. And it just doesn't look right, man. And that interception was terrible. The one interception he had killed the game. It was over. After that, game over. So he couldn't make any mistakes. And the Carolina Panthers defense played okay, but the Rams, that kind of cream rose to the top as usual. So yeah, I knew the Rams would get that victory, and then the score wasn't as close. It was like 30-27. It
Right.
wasn't. It was more like a 30-20 game, and I mean, I think they let Carolina score at the end when it really didn't really matter that much.
The only thing that kind of worried me about this game is the Rams defense a little bit, and how they let Christian McCaffrey kind of go off on him. He had 19
Yeah.
carries for 120 yards for two
Yeah.
touchdowns. But then here's the key stat: he had 10 receptions for 91 yards. When the Rams play the Cowboys or they play the Saints, a tailback is very key to those offenses, and
Yeah.
if you can't shut down a team that's one dimensional like the Panthers are, just give
Yeah.
the ball to McCaffrey over and over and over, you're going to have a lot of problems. So hopefully they get that fixed pretty quickly here. One of the biggest surprises to me this week in week one was the Seattle Cincinnati game. I thought this game was going to be a blowout. I am in a where you pick a team to win, it is for sure lock. And my first pick was the Seattle Seahawks, and they almost gave this game away.
Right.
But they did win 20-20 or 21-20. The main stat of the game: Andy Dalton, 35 for 51 for 418 yards, 2 interceptions without AJ Green. So are the Seahawks still a playoff bound team? So, a lot of people have them going to the Super Bowl.
No, I saw two teams that day that neither one of them will make the playoffs. Boy, that Jadeveon Clowney, boy, he really helped them out. I mean,
Yeah.
he did absolutely almost nothing for Seattle. Yeah, no, I mean, Andy Dalton threw the ball all over the place. They just couldn't get the ball in the end zone at key moments when they needed to get them. That's the name of the game. Seattle defense did an okay job in that regard. But Randy Bullock, the Cincinnati field goal kicker, he missed a field goal. I mean, this game would have been instead of Cincinnati driving, to kick a field goal or to they wouldn't even have needed to. If Randy Bullock had made the field goal 3 possessions earlier, they wouldn't even have needed that at the end. They'd have won the game. It'd have been Russell Wilson trying to get the last second field goal, which would have been possible. So Randy Bullock, another field goal kicker, man, blows games. Kid out of Texas A&M, but no, I saw both teams aren't. Neither one of these teams are making the playoffs. That game bothered me to no end. It just looked like a bunch of nonsense out there. I'll be honest with you. both teams, and neither one. We're looking at a Seattle team that's going to be 8-8, and we're looking at a Bengals team that you know what if Andy Dalton's throwing to those Taj Boyd's he's a heck of Tyler Boyd's a heck of a receiver, and when they get AJ Green back, they're going to be formidable. What I love about Cincinnati is being said Giovanni Bernard and Joe Mixon.
Mm-hmm.
They have good running backs, man.
They do.
They're gonna get Andy Dalton gets the ball to them, and good things happen, and that's what happened on Sunday. Giovanni Bernard, actually, you can almost put him in that class with Christian McCaffrey and Kamara and Duke Johnson. He is that type of back. He's pretty special.
Right.
Out of North Carolina a few years ago, their second round pick. So I like him. But listen, Cincinnati 5-6 wins. They'll shock some people. They might even beat like a Pittsburgh, in Cincinnati, something crazy. But no, Seattle didn't impress me either.
No.
Barely squeaking out a win at home versus Andy Dalton without AJ Green. Come on, you know what I mean? Like we talked about it before. They're paying a lot of their salary cap is going on two players, and It's just they're not. I don't think they'll ever sniff the playoffs again in the Russell Wilson era. I don't see it.
Yeah, you're 100% correct on that. I think the Seahawks are highly overrated, and like all those people that are picking them to go to the Super Bowl, I want some of what you guys have. Speaking of two teams that are not going to the Super Bowl, the Detroit Lions versus the Arizona Cardinals, they ended on a 27-27 tie to end the game. This is another game of tale of two halves. The Detroit Lions looked like a pretty good team in the first half. They're up to 27-0. Second half, the Arizona Cardinals look like a pretty good team as well, scoring 27 unanswered points. Kyler Murray goes for 20. He completes 29 passes for 308 yards for 2 touchdowns. Are you buying into the Kyler Murray hype at all?
I am. I like him. I think he could be on that pace for Rookie of the Year, but I don't see them. But that being said, I don't see them winning 8 games or anything. I still think they're going to be 5-11. Now 5-10-1.
Right.
They got the tie. Both coaches. Can I put this? Both coaches suck.
Yes.
Cliff Kingsbury and Matt Patricia, they would be on my bottom 5 coaches. All right. Which one you want me to go through first? Cliff Kingsbury punted away the victory yesterday. He had a 4th and 7 at about the 46-yard line of Detroit.
Right.
So basically, he made the announcer got it wrong. Did you see the end of that game? Were you paying attention to Mark Schlereth and those guys?
I didn't get that game.
Mark Schlereth kept on going. Yeah, I can see Kyler Murray. He's upset over there at Kingsbury. He's upset and all that. And he thought that he was upset at that one of their players almost had an interception at the end of the game. Kyler Murray. That's not why he was upset. Kyler Murray was upset at the decision by sorry ass under 500 quarterback. Under 500 coach at Texas Tech, Cliff Kingsbury.
Right.
He punted the game away. Basically, he punted he had a 4th and 7 at the 46 or 47-yard line. And if you don't convert that 4th and 7, now it's only a minute left in the game. You give the ball back to Matthew Stafford and a couple of throws and they win the game maybe, right? But you cannot coach that way. You cannot play that way. Michael, you got to play to win the game.
You're right. 100% correct.
Yes. And he punted, as soon as he punted, like that was a literal conscious decision to punt the football and just say, you know what, guys, boys, we fought blood, sweat, and tears. I'm going to go ahead and punt this thing away. We're going to tie. Basically, Cliff Kingsbury made that choice not to win the game. And that bothered me to no end.
And so you want to know what bothers me most about that game is you have a $100 million quarterback in Matthew Stafford. He has the ball in his hands with a minute left in the game, and he can't move the ball down the field. That bothers me a lot. That's why the Detroit Lions will never be any good with him at the helm.
And Matt Patricia, dude, I'm calling you in my office today, dude. Henry Clay Ford, I don't even know if he's still alive. He probably not. But the ghost of Henry Clay Ford, the owner, and William Clay Ford. Yeah, they put that on their patch. The Lions. Anyways, you're up 24-6, man. You're playing against a quarterback that has had 3 first downs in 3 quarters.
Right.
And you lost. Fired.
Yeah. Especially from a defensive coach, because he was the defensive coordinator at the Patriots. Right. So you should have a good defense in place there.
One or two more of those, and you'll be on a boat somewhere.
Speaking of one or two, speaking of one or two of those, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers might get one
Oh,
or two wins this year. One of those wins did not come on Sunday. They lose to the San Francisco 49ers 31-17. Jimmy Garoppolo goes for 18 for 27, 166, one touchdown, one interception. You were pretty
oh,
high on the San Francisco 49ers in this
oh
offseason,
yeah.
thinking they're a 9 or a 10 win team.
Yes.
Are you still buying into their hype?
Absolutely. I think the 49ers are going to be just fine. What I'm shaking my head about and I can't wrap my brain around is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Jameis Winston.
Is he that
More
horrible?
people more people I'm calling in my office. I'm more hardcore, I guess. Like I go on emotions. That's why I probably could never coach with you. But you know what? I treat kids differently. I'm
Yeah.
talking about grown ass men. I don't do this with kids that often, to be honest, because I'm very lenient with them. Now I might, get on them if they make a mistake and then we move on. But I will linger on a grown man. Okay. When I watch Jameis Winston after the end of the game, like yeah, it may bother him in the head. I don't know what's going on in his head, but he's over there shaking everybody's hand. Look, he just threw the game away. Like, you suck. Like, I
Yeah.
don't want to see you congratulating anybody. I'd have grabbed his ass and said, "You don't need to see any of these motherfuckers. You need to take your ass. You need to take your ass in the locker room, be the first one on the plane, and start studying for next week because you suck."
No, actually,
Like,
he doesn't need to be the first one to start studying. The first one that needs to start
yeah,
studying is Blaine Gabbert.
yeah.
Get his ass in there. He's the starting
I mean,
quarterback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Jameis, I was going to give him till week 5, maybe week 6. Get his ass out of there now. He is done. Get a
yeah.
veteran in there, Blaine Gabbert. He knows how
I'm
to at
out.
least manage a team, manage a game. Blaine Gabbert's what, 30 years old. I saw
Yeah.
him do great things in college. Let him lead a team. See what happens. Because Jameis Winston is not the answer in Tampa Bay.
Listen. I was high on like I wasn't high on Jameis, but I was high on what Bruce Arians could do for Jameis Winston, because I haven't seen Bruce Arians fail too many times with quarterbacks.
Right.
Like, he was fine with Carson Palmer. I bet Bruce Arians got on the fucking plane last night and was like, Jesus Christ. He's probably calling Carson Palmer's phone.
Hey, you
Hey,
come out of retirement?
meet me in Tampa, baby.
Right.
And his wife, Carson Palmer's wife, probably got on the phone and said, "No way." He probably said, "Shut up, bitch. Put Carson back on the phone. It's not your decision. It's our decision." Like, that's how terrible Jameis Winston was. Like, it's so. What are you, man? You know what? It would be done for me with Jameis. Like, it's done. You're a bust. It's
Right.
over.
And so let me
Like,
pump the brakes a little bit here. This is just week 1. Are we overreacting of his performance, or are we wrapping the last 3 or 4 years all in a bundle and say you've won like 15 games? You're horrible. It's time to move on.
I'm giving you the emotions off my sleeve. I probably will start him again week 2. That's why I thought I told him, "Get your ass in the
don't know.
clubhouse."
Like I think
Yeah,
Blaine Gabbert might be the answer for this team. I mean, like, he's definitely
yeah,
not
it
going to lead
probably
them
will.
to a playoff or a Super Bowl berth. But Ryan Fitzpatrick, he kind of changed the culture a little bit while he was there at Tampa Bay. And then when Jameis
Yeah.
came back in, you saw the team just go right back down. So maybe his negative energy, or like he has some bad voodoo or something. Maybe he just needs to go to a different team like Oakland, maybe in the off season, and just get a fresh start.
Yeah. It'll say on Jameis Winston's tombstone. I'll go ahead and put it. They should let me put it. Here lies number 1 overall pick quarterback bust. I was not better, and I want him to write this himself. I was not better than Blaine Gabbert or Ryan Fitzpatrick. Can that go on the tombstone?
I think you only have
Yeah,
150
put that on there.
characters, so like you might have
Yeah.
to put like
Oh,
Ryan
let's keep
Fritz or
going.
something.
He's paying for it. He's got the number 1 pick money. He's
Right.
paying for it. Let's just keep going. And I stole money from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Oh, stole money and still laughing
Yeah.
at their faces right
Yeah.
now. So that is it for Sunday's games. Now let's talk about some Monday night games here. We have probably 2 pretty big games here. Definitely playoff affecting games here. The first
Yes.
one up, the Saints versus the Texans. Who do you got for one in this game?
Well, listen, I think the New Orleans Saints are going to win the football game, but I wouldn't be shocked at all. Houston Texans are that good. They could squeak this game out. The Texans fixed their offensive line, or they hoped. with getting Laramie Tunsil. That is going to be must-see TV. Marcus Davenport, the number one pass rusher, probably the fastest pass rusher for the New Orleans Saints, former number one overall pick, 14th overall selection out of UTSA San Antonio. They gave up a number one pick in this past year's draft to get him to move up to 14 to get Marcus Davenport. So he has to pay big dividends for them. Going up against Laramie Tunsil, that is going to be a matchup. I don't think he beats Laramie Tunsil. I've watched Marcus Davenport since his high school days here in San Antonio. I would put him on Central Henderson, the right tackle. I think he could beat him. This is going to be a hell of a game, man. Deshaun Watson, Bill O'Brien, you got Duke Johnson in the backfield, and the Texans, in order to have a decent season, and I think they'll do it, they're going to average about 28, 30 points a night, and I think they get their points tonight here. I think they'll put up 28, 30. It's a question of whether the Texans defense will hold New Orleans to under 30.
Yeah.
That's the big key, and I don't think they will either. I think you're looking at a 38-35 game, 38-34 game. I see New Orleans winning this game, but you know what? These two quarterbacks right here, it might be who has the ball last. If you give Deshaun Watson the ball with a minute left and they just down by a field goal, or just need a touchdown to win, a minute and a half, Houston could very well win the game. They got Will Fuller, DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, he's throwing to a boatload of nice tight ends that they've drafted in the past few years. That not one has beaten out the other one, but there's some nice tight ends. And the new kid they got, Kenny Stills, from the Dolphins, I think is going to play tonight. So, no, the Houston Texans are going to put up, 30, 33, 34 points. But whether or not they can, stop the Saints, that's another story. I see the Saints winning, but this is a great football game. We're talking 38-34. Whoever has the ball last with at least about a minute left will win the football game.
Yeah, we talk about Super Bowl previews all 16 games here, and this is one of those that you can circle and legitimately say that this could be a Super Bowl preview right here. Houston is good enough to make it to the Super Bowl. Saints are definitely good enough to make it to the Super Bowl. Yes. I don't question the Saints offense. I don't question the Houston offense either. The only question mark that I see really going into this game is the Houston defense, and that's tough coming out of my mouth because they've had such a dominant defense for so long. My biggest question mark is, can they replace Clowney? Can they mean like he was never a stand off the paper, look at the film. I mean, yes, he did great things there, but like he was never that one guy like I think like you circled in, and like I said, you had to stop. But he still brought a dynamic to the team that J.J. Watt had more single teams.
Yes.
So the question, can J.J. Watt be the player that he was in the last 3 or 4 years, healthy now, no more lingering issues with his back or quad or like anything, but can he defeat the double team night in and night out? That's the biggest question that I have for Houston tonight. And like, I don't think he can tonight. He will figure out how to do it throughout the year. Maybe somebody will step up on the other side. Maybe like something will happen to cause him to get more single teams. But tonight they're going to double team Clowney, and I think the Saints offense just outlasts the Houston offense. Given it's going to be a 45-34 game. It's going to be a very high scoring game.
Yeah, and that Houston secondary is really young. They're going to be they're inexperienced a little bit in terms of playing together. It's kind of a new secondary. Because the Texans, they lost Tyrann Mathieu. They lost Kareem Jackson. They brought in Deshaun Gibson and Bradley Roby from Jacksonville and Denver. So they haven't played with each other with the bullets flying. And the bullets will be flying definitely tonight with Drew Brees and Michael Thomas. So Alvin Kamara. Who's got running? Listen, this has always been one of my pet peeves when I played. Who's got running back responsibility is going to kill me. If I see Alvin Kamara start darting out and getting like 100 yards receiving, I'm going to fire whoever has running back responsibility.
You will not fire your linebacker core. Get out of here. Your linebacker core is speaking of shots being fired, if you guys have been following the Antonio Brown saga at all, shots have been firing at the Raider camp, at the AB camp all weekend long. And now Antonio Brown could be possibly facing a year in jail for recording a phone call and posting it on YouTube. Stupid. But let's get to the game. Broncos taking on the Raiders. Who do you got?
Where is it at?
It is at Oakland, at the Black Hole.
You know what? That's just going to be very intriguing because can the Raiders and with John Gruden have prepared enough to put all the freaking shenanigans behind them and just go play football. Because if they can do that, they might beat Denver. But if they can't do that, you're going to find a lot about the Raiders tonight. If they can't put all this crap behind them and like it was no distraction, just go out there and play.
Right.
Then Denver wins this game. I'm on record as saying Bradley Chubb and Von Miller will have at least 25, 30 sacks, and they could get 1 or 2 tonight apiece.
Yeah,
I know that. Yeah, and listen, the Raiders signed that the most expensive left tackle in football. They took him from the Patriots, Brown, but we'll see what happens. Von Miller and Bradley Chubb going up against Brown. That's a big time matchup. The Raiders will be without their starting guard, Gabe Jackson. Though he's out for a couple weeks. The Raiders' offensive line, I don't know if they can hold up against those pass rushers. That'll be unique to see. And now Tyrell Williams, the acquisition under the radar that they got from the Chargers, big 6'4", 6'5" guy. He was supposed to be the number 2 option behind Antonio Brown. Phillip Rivers threw a bunch of jump balls to him, and he'd go catch him and get him. But now he's the number 1 option for David Carr, Tyrell Williams. So can he go from being 2 to 1?
Yeah,
that's going to be interesting.
Yeah, is some of the positive things out of the Raider camp that has happened is Antonio Brown was never really on the field for a game. He was at a couple practices, and like I say couple, I mean 2 practices in an Oakland Raider uniform. So Carr and those guys never really got used to playing Antonio Brown. So really the only distraction that they have is the off-field stuff. Is him with the helmet and the feet and all that stuff. So them as a football team, they should be okay playing on the field. But like you said, the Denver Broncos defense is pretty damn good. The Broncos are a solid team. Are they a playoff team? No, because of the division that they're in. They're behind the Chiefs and the Chargers. They have to play those teams 4 times, and those are probably 4 losses this year, and that's tough, especially in the AFC when everybody's going to be 10 wins plus in the playoffs, more than likely. Now, if the Raiders would have had Antonio Brown, I actually had Oakland beating Kansas City in Week 2 with Antonio Brown. Without Antonio Brown, they are a 3 or 4 win team. They lose tonight to the Broncos. The Broncos are going to go in there and smack them in the mouth over and over and over again. You said those guys might get a sack apiece. I bet you those guys get 4+ sacks tonight. The team as a whole is going to get 5 sacks.
Yeah. No, I listen, I see it too. If the Raiders lay an egg tonight, and it looks bad, and it look like the distractions bothered them, and they're missing Antonio. If it looks that bad, it's going to be a long season for the Raiders. I mean, it's funny. I've said don't overreact, and then all I've done today for the past hour is probably overreact.
Right.
But I'm just having fun with it. Yeah. But we'll find out a lot about Flacco too. We'll see what happens here. This is the new quarterback, new system for him, and I wonder how Josh Jacobs, the number 1 pick from Alabama, the running back for the Raiders,
right,
to see how many touches he gets, to see how big time he is. And I like the running back on the other side too for the Broncos, number 30, rookie last year, had a lot of yards. We'll see how I think both teams need to run the football. I don't want David Carr. If you're in these game plans, I don't want David Carr and Flacco going back to pass 50 times, like the mistake Chicago did with Trubisky.
Right.
Let's see Flacco and Carr. Let's invoke the running games here. Let's see Flacco and Carr maybe pass the ball for 30, 35 times.
Yeah, and an ideal game on both sides of the ball would the total game time be less than 2 hours. So basically that means give the ball to your tailbacks 40+ times in this game. Just pound the ball over and over and like and over. Speaking of the Raiders having a long season, I have to agree with you 100%. But Carr will have a short season if they start off the season 0-3. If the Raiders start 0-3, look for Carr to be out at Oakland. Trust me on this. They wanted them. John Gruden wanted Carr out last year.
Yeah,
leash, very short leash.
I agree, but I mean, who are you going to put in? Mike Glennon's and the guy Peterman.
Jameis Winston.
Oh my God. Yeah. Jameis Winston will be the starter in the XFL a couple years from now, easily.
Right. So, guys, we both have Saints winning tonight. We both have Broncos winning tonight. What's your final score in that Oakland Bronco game?
Well, that's a tough one. I almost didn't predict. I said the Saints 38, Houston 34. I hope I'm wrong, by the way. Man, I guess I wow. Uh 23-20 Broncos.
That's a very high scoring game compared to what I'm going to say. I'm going to say 9-6. It's going to be a it is going to be a field goal competition that nobody can find the end zone. Uh,
You're trying to put America to bed.
hey,
It's early.
like the game doesn't come on for me till like 11:30 at night or something like that. It's
Man, you're going.
this is the only thing I don't like about these double Monday night games
Yeah.
is I think like the Saints game starts at 7 I think on the East Coast,
Yeah.
and then the Raiders game doesn't start till 10:30 or like 11. So it's gonna be
Well
like
they
2 o'clock before it gets done, and I got to get up work at
right.
4
Well,
a.m. to go to work. So I'm pulling an
hey,
all
no,
nighter.
but they only do the double Monday night as week one, so
Right.
you only have to worry about that one day. But man, can you imagine? I'd probably shoot myself if I stayed awake till 2 in the morning to watch a 9-6. I had to get up and work at 4. I'd probably shoot myself before I went to work.
Well,
That's crazy.
I will probably fall asleep on the couch when Derek Carr
Yeah,
throws his fifth interception in the second quarter. But
yeah.
it is what it is. So, guys, join us tomorrow, same time, same place here on the YouTube channel. Be sure to comment below because I think Lamar Jackson is still trash. Fight me about it. But Marcus, have a great day, man. We'll see you tomorrow.
Shoot, man. All right, talk to you later.
We out.